management properly and transportation planning that we should use metro and all that, and we are planning in our country, but Pakistan is not planning like that. Forestation regulation is very important aspect, is plantation tree and all that side, and they must enhance social forestry. And the last, this is about the long-term side, promoting research, development and education about new clean technologies, clean products, and ecosystem restoration, so that the safer Earth planet is handed over to the future generation. Thank you very much, Vicky. Thank you, sir, for being
You know, some of Mr. Chairman, you know that SARC has set up a culture center which has its headquarters in Colombo, and they are yet to prepare a culture document on this. There was a meeting where two scholars from the member countries, from the 8 member countries, they were invited there. Myself and one scholar from Anthropological Survey, we represented India, who were nominated by the Ministry of Culture. So what happened there, scholars from Pakistan and Afghanistan did not participate, so the document is not prepared. So what I'm going to share with you is very brief, is since most of the people are not from cultural studies, sociology or anthropology, I'm a cultural anthropologist. You know, culture we take in the broad sense as the way of life, as the world view of the people, which means it includes material culture, it includes the value systems, it includes the social and religious practices of the people, and it includes philosophical and religious ideas in this sense. You let me very brief and run through my presentation. You know, in this area, Indian subcontinent is a part of the vast Indo-Iranian plain. The land has been very fertile, and you know, up to 1920, it was thought that Indian civilization begins with the Gangetic plain. This is up to 1920s. And then after 1920s, there were excavations by Marshall, Mackay and others at various places all over the region, what are known as Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and you know, these things. And you know, there are sites in Punjab which were excavated. There is a site at Sangoor, near Anandpur Sahib in Ropar, and there is a place near Hanumangarh, just near the Punjab border. It's near the village Kalyawali. Since yellow bangles were discovered, it's known as Piliya Banga, that is. So what has been revealed through these excavations, and you know there is a controversy, some of the scholars say that there was no river at Saraswati. Recently, it's very interesting with satellite imaging, the bed of the Saraswati river has been discovered. It has been discovered, and so the excavations are going on at various places in Haryana and Rajasthan and Gujarat. So what does it mean? Over this area, there was a civilization before the Vedic civilization, which we call Indus Valley civilization. And the remnant of this civilization are still found in the religious practices of the people. Since I don't have time, I don't give you examples. In the life of the people in Punjab, you find ceremonies and rituals which go back to thousands of years old, which go to the Pari-Vedic times. And in this civilization, let me say one thing brief, actually I don't have time, that Kali and Shiva belong to Pari-Vedic times. You know, Kali and Shiva both. And so then we had the Vedic civilization. And then after the Vedic civilization, from 1000 onwards, we had Arabs coming, Turks, Afghans and Persians. These people from the Islamic world coming to India. And then there were the Greeks. So what happened in this part, they are not people belonging to one tradition, but people belonging to different cultural traditions. So what has happened in this area, there are elements, there are religious practices, beliefs which come from different cultural traditions. And next, you know what happens? We have been writing about it, that I mean the Indian scholars, but with the establishment of the British rule in the 18th century, so you know, three things that happened. The British, with the invention of colonialism, Britism. You know, our modern understanding of Indian society, Indian culture, and Indian religion is based on colonial constructions. This is my, you know, I'm not going to explain this, but this is what happened. Now, these colonial constructions, there were three major approaches which developed in this. One is what we call the Oriental view. The second is what we call the administrative view. The third is the missionary view. Let me dismiss the missionary view first. You know the missionary view, you know there were Christian missionaries, they were coming to India, going all over the world, going to African countries, collecting information. You know, their reports are very interesting, what they write about India and other places. And their motive was to demolish the social basis of Indian society, to demolish Hinduism. So what they conclude, that Indians are superstitious people, they worship monkey gods, they have no rationality, things like that. This is the missionary view. You know, then there is the administrative view. Administrative view, after 1857, after this mutiny, the British, they were disturbed. The Queen gave a statement, it's a valid recorded what the Queen said, that we must understand these people. So in 1874, Asiatic Society was established in Bengal, and this society collected information. They learned Indian languages, they learned about Indian religion, they learned Indian caste system and other things. And then they had settlement reports for the first time, settlement reports. And they surveyed Indian languages. What they did, these reports. In these reports, on Punjab, you find caste and tribes of Punjab, religion, everything. So then, in this view, they were collecting this information. You must understand the Indian people, you must understand the natives so that you can control them. They collected this information. But in this information, what happened now, this is important, they were trying to construct Indian culture and Indian religion on the basis of the texts. On the basis of the text, you have Vedas, you have Upanishads, you have other writings in Sanskrit. On the basis of these texts, you construct Indian civilization. This is what they did. So what happened? In India, most of the people had no access to writing, to knowledge, to literacy. So in India, intellectual discourse has been oral. There were oral traditions in India. And then there were writings in Indian regional languages. So the writing, this is what happened. So what happens with this? It's a lopsided view of the Indian society. So Indian writing, our writing, what we teach in the universities, of the textbooks are written at the university and the college and the school level, are conditioned by this colonial paradigm. This is what happened. So what happened in this area? Let me be brief. Since people belonging to different cultures were living together for hundreds and thousands of years, so there was culture exchange at the people's level. There was exchange, what we call interfaith dialogue down in the university. What was happening in the Indian society, there was a cultural exchange among the people. So what happened? happened in India, say there is some Hindu. So all his, what Hindu, there is one Hindu on the basis of the text or Muslim on the basis of the Quran. But what is the social life of a Hindu? What are their social practices? What are their religious practices? So this happened. So there was no construction of religious boundaries. So what is happening in simple words? The Sikhs or the Hindus are going to Muslim shrines, and the Muslims, they are going to Hindu shrines, to other places. And so, say in Islam, let me give a concrete example in Islam. You can sing and dance and other things, but if you go, this is what is written in the Quran. But if you go to Pakistan, I've been to Lahore and you talk to the women, you have the same wedding song which are sung in Punjab. I had a cassette with me, I took it to my village, and they said, these are Punjabi girls singing Punjabi songs. So what happened? Just one example. Now we have India and Pakistan. Those of you who come from Punjab, all over India, in Punjab, in Nakodar, you have Ladi Shah. The shrine of the Ladi Shah, Gurdas Maan is the main, one of the main, is making popular. It's a shrine of a Sufi, or let me give you an example and conclude. Yes, I do, sir. Recently I was dealing with three senior officials from the British Council, Commonwealth countries from England. They wanted to know, they were with me, two gentlemen, one lady, very senior officer, for 1 week. They wanted to know about the Punjabi society and about the Punjabi culture, what kind of Punjabis are creating in England. This was their project. So, what I did, very simple, in Patiala, in the morning, one day we spent in the Gurdwara. Next day we went to the Kali temple. And in the Kali temple, in Patiala, you find people with the temples. And when we were going to enter the temple, the ladies, women are much more intelligent than men. She said, Professor, don't enter the temple. You are a professor in the university, you have a turban, you will be terminated from your services. That the Sikhs don't go to a Hindu temple. We are told you are scholars in England. I said, no, I know the priest and everything. So we went, I know the priest, so we went to the Kali temple. And then on the Mall Road in Patiala, there is a shrine of the Sufi Fakir. Then we went to the shrine of the Sufi Fakir on Saturday, and you find Sikhs and Hindus going there. And in the Kali temple, let me conclude, this has to Sufi. And you know in India now, this is a very happy sign, what the Vice Chancellor was saying, there is a resurgence of Sufi music. Great resurgence of Sufi music in India. No one bothers that it's Islam, it's a Muslim or other things. This is. And then you go to the Kali temple now. In this Navaratri, I was going to all the days, I have the film and everything. You have the people going with bottles of liquor and going with the black goats and everything. So what is happening? What is happening in India? People, you have your religion. At the same time, you have common shared space. There are common linkages between common. So what we need to do is to locate these common linkages and to strengthen these linkages. Thank you very much.
The topic of my presentation is erasing international boundaries for peace building through popular culture. Well, at the outset, let me make it very clear that neither I am a political scientist nor a social scientist. I come from the discipline of literature, and I place on record my thanks and gratitude to Professor Balwinder Tiwana for giving me an opportunity to make a presentation here. Now, through proper culture, what I specifically refer to is the movies, the documentaries, and the cinema. The tragic event of partition deeply affected the social and political, economic and cultural lives of millions of people, as we all know. To quote Mushirul Hassan in this context, no other country in the 20th century has seen two such contrary movements taking place at the same time. If one was a popular nationalist movement, unique in the annals of world history, for ousting the colonizers through non-violent means, the other, in its underbelly, was the counter-movement of partition marked by violence, cruelty, bloodshed, displacement and massacres. The impact of such a life-altering event has been documented not only from historical, political, sociological and literary perspective, but has also inspired filmmakers to use it as an alternative channel of dialogue and communication through which populations can talk with each other. Bollywood history is replete with films on the partition tragedy in the allegorical context. The recurrent themes in the films made after 1947 are separation within a single family or between two lovers, both of which could be read as metaphors for the division of land and people during partition. As a consequence, even after division into two nations, there is no peace between the two neighbors, but only allegations and counter-allegations dominate and result in failure of peace initiatives. However, in Kya Dilli Kya Lahore movie, which was released in 2014, the focus is on a psyche left scarred and disoriented by the severity of post-partition events. There is a need to revisit the events of that time in order to understand the fissures resulting in the failure of Indo-Pak relations to rework for peace in the region. The film transports us back to 1948, just a year after partition. Tempers are simmering. People are still grieving the death of their loved one, others reminiscing their childhood spent across the border. For most people at that time, the partition proved to be an irrevocable loss financially and emotionally. The film begins with Jawaharlal Nehru's iconic Tryst with Destiny speech and shows the painful process of people moving bag and baggage across borders with thought-provoking, beautiful lines about Sarhade in the background. In crossfire between Pakistan and the Indian soldiers, only Rahmat Ali and his captain are left alive. The wounded captain can't move, so he first orders, then insults and finally provokes Rahmat Ali to go and get the file from the Indian Choki to prove himself a true Pakistani.
तो मैं बाप को साथ लेके आया जी मैं मदद लेके आया मदद नहीं हाय जी हाय मदद अरे ले बेटा यही मौका है खुदा ने नेमत बख्शी है खुद को सच्चा पाकिस्तानी साबित करने का जा अपने वतन को दिखाने की तो सच्चा पाकिस्तानी जा अरे जा बता तेरे पूरे
Rahmat is a Mahaji. He moved to Pakistan from Purani Delhi. This raises the issue of identity in context of Muslims who opted to move to Pakistan, the homeland for Muslims, to be treated as outsiders, always required to prove their loyalty to the Islamic State. The mission of Pakistan Army to seize the top secret file of a tunnel the Pakistanis think India has dug from Lal Killa in Lahore in Pakistan highlights the impact of rumors, misleading and false information and distorted news to mislead people, raises sentiments to create a culture of hatred between people of the two countries. On the Indian side, only Samar the cook survives. He alerts his officers through wireless. The Indian army cook is now the only Indian soldier holding the post. He is a refugee moved to India from Lahore. The wounds are still fresh. The nature of offence is spontaneous, which leads to firing bullets and hurling abuses at one another, arguing about the politics of Jinnah and Nehru and nations they owe endurance to. Clip 2.
सत्याग्रह ने सब खत्म कर दिया। सब लूट गया मेरा।
The discussion between them about names of people and places and pleasures of the warmth of home bring alive lyrical memories. And I quote Rahmat Ali, घर की छत पे चांद ऐसे निकलता था जैसे खाट पे आ गिरेगा। लाहौर के चांद ने तो कभी मुझे पूछा ही नहीं, कभी मुंह ही नहीं लगाया। समर, चल अपने अपने चांद बदल लेते हैं।
क्या रहता था पुरानी दिल्ली में?
चांदनी चौक मटिया में।
वो किधर को पड़ता है?
जामा मस्जिद के सामने कोरमे की खुशबू की सीट में चलता चला सीधा वहीं निकले।
कोई भूख ना लगावे। यहाँ गोलियां ही खाने को मिलती हैं बॉर्डर में, और कुछ नहीं।
अब कितने दिन हो गए बंदे जाते?
लाहौर हलबदार की लस्सी मारना, साथ में खाने का तलब में।
तड़के की निहारी खाओ और सो।
लंबी नींद कान के सो जाना, जैसे पूरे लाहौर की मजदूरी हमने की है।
बुजुर्गों को अखबार पढ़ के सुनाओ, एक दर्ला इनाम में पाओ, फिर सीधे लाखों गुट्टी खरीदी।
और हम ना गुड्डियों से आशिकी लड़ाते थे। अपनी लाजवंती को ना उसके मार मार के बढ़ाया था मैंने।
दोपहर को भी दान दिया आसमान, शाम के बाद रात को घाट के पाए से बांध कर सो गए। सुबह वहीं खड़ी मिलती है जामा मस्जिद के गुंबद के ऊपर, जिस रात भर अल्लाह मियां से बातें की।
अपनी अपनी गुड्डी अपने अपने आसमान पे ही अच्छी लगती है यार।
घर की छत पर चांद ऐसे निकलता था जैसे मेरी खाट पर ही गिर पड़ेगा। लाहौर के चांद में तो कोई नहीं लगाया।
अपने अपने चांद बदलने वाले।
वो दिल्ली में कहाँ डेरा है सर?
अभी मिला नहीं, अभी कैंप में ही है। सब्जी मंडी है ना जड़ी, बर्फ खाने के बाद।
अबे बर्फ खाने में प्याजों का आट दिया ही बर्दाश्त। मेरे अब्बा से 21 रुपए ले लिए थे उसने, कह रहा था पाकिस्तान में घर गिराएगा। बच के रहियो बेटा।
भाई ये तो सबके साथ ही हुआ है। मेरी माँ ने 40 किलो अचार सुखने पाया था। सारा कोई ना कोई तो खा ही गया होगा। लेने के स्वाद सबको।
क्या दिल्ली, क्या लाहौर makes audience uncomfortable, moving them to introspection without pointing accusing fingers at either side. Gunshots are exchanged, so are abuses. Eventually both give up and begin talking. The two soldiers recall their childhood and their lives back home. A sense of nostalgia and loss comes out when Samar talks of his childhood in Lahore and Rahmat rewinds his past in Delhi. The Pakistan soldier is outside, the Indian soldier is inside. The windows, their means of conversing. The physical divide between the two countries is inviolable and permanent. Our borders are as separate